nice to have you on the call. Amy, nice to have you on the call. I'll just get that on the recording. Thanks, Matt. Brilliant. And Amy is Rachel's sister. I think everybody knows that. And I've put in the WhatsApp, Amy, that you are an art enthusiast, an artist, and an art educator. Do you want to just tell us a bit about? Well, I mean, we could just make it. What is your journey really? But what are some of the things that you've enjoyed or done around art? Go.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say I'm a contemporary artist. My art comes mostly from the idea, and from that I can build to do film or photography or painting or installations. Whatever the idea takes me, I go. I'm a mother. I have two kids, and I am also a teacher in a secondary school. Um, my and yeah, so all of these things inspire me, and you have to be creative in all of these from above, especially as a mother. So
Absolutely. Let's go with you. You obviously you studied at this at uni, didn't you, as
yeah.
well? Yeah. And then were you doing much art before the kids came along, or did it particularly happen once you became a mum? You then were like, let's do this together.
Yeah, I think, well, actually, after I finished uni, I was thrown into EAL teaching, and I did that for many, many years. Um, Back in early 2000s when I finished my university, it was very much like, what are you going to do with this degree? You're not going to be an artist. You don't, there wasn't really much of a perspective. So I moved back to Brazil and was working at my parents' school. And then I found out that I really enjoyed teaching. Um, so I just stuck with that. But I guess after I had kids, and mostly after one of my, um, we went through some challenging times because my youngest son went through chemotherapy in Great Ormond Street. And that's when I really found out the healing powers of art and being creative and understanding what we were going through, trauma using creative outlet.
Mm.
So that's when I really dug into my art with the children, but also a lot just with myself as well. Um, and that was also when the world all had trauma because we went into COVID. And I realized that I was teaching the wrong subjects pretty much my whole life because during COVID, I started just to raise money for Great Ormond Street online art course. And the amount of feedback I had from that, and I started with 5 kids, but by the end of the next month, I had over 100 students
Mm.
joining on Zoom art class. Um, and the parents were just like, this is the one thing we look forward to, that we can all sit together and do art and be creative. So I really saw I guess, like a necessity of being creative through
Mm.
challenging times. And that's when I started really to change my career into teaching art
And
and
you did,
lay out behind.
yeah, I can remember the online Zoom calls, and they were brilliant. And then it sort of transition, if I'm right, it transitioned to kind of after school clubs with
Yes.
kids, and then now you're actually, you've done a PGCE,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, uh, well, tell us, you've just started working in January, and how, what do you do? Where do you teach, and how's it going?
Okay, so I did my PGC last year. I think it was just like I was loving doing my after school art clubs, but I wanted to really like I think I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to teaching to really make a difference in students' lives and help them get into universities. And, I have a big passion for the subject, and I just feel like sometimes art isn't considered a important subject like maths and science, and I feel like it's on the same level. It's the subject that teaches you how to be a human, how to visually express yourself, how to find out things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise. So I decided to join to do a PGC. I was actually quite inspired by Rachel as well because she started studying, later, and I thought, why not start PGC at 43? It's
No, well
never
done
too
though.
late.
That's
Most of
brilliant.
my cohorts were half my age, but still, I had a great time. Um, so yeah, I did my PGC last year, and I recently started working in a school here in North London called East Barnet School. I'm a art teacher there, and I've been really loving it. It's so nice to have my room and my space where I can get all my art supplies out and really get the kids involved, helping them with their GCSEs and A levels. It's really exciting.
Um, Thanks, Amy. I didn't say I was going to ask you this, but I know that you're very. It's amazing to watch. There will be um, kids that might be a little bit misbehaving or a little bit maybe like let's say how do we put it nicely? Well, yeah, could be neurodiverse or have additional needs.
Yeah.
And I think that you don't see that as a problem at all. And do you see that actually art is kind of for those kids that might struggle at school? And have you seen some sort of um, kind of positive things happen when kids engage with art who might not otherwise particularly be enjoying life?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like even just working in education for so long, I've noticed it's also something I wanted to ask to pray because I've noticed how mental health in children so young has been such a uh, it almost feels like it's been a big increase, and every other kid has a EHCP or like educational health plan
Mm.
um, that might, you know, because of their mental health or anxiety or depression or any of the above. Um, I feel like art definitely is a safe space for many of these children. Um, and it's a place where, for some students whose words don't come easily, they can put it all out on the paper and create something that they're feeling. So I usually allow them to go a bit off piste because if you try to get them to do what you really ask them, to do, they might not uh, engage as much. So it's interesting to see how uh, art allows them to be creative that way and help them focus on what's inside them. So
Sounds
yeah.
brilliant. Thank you. Do you yeah, and please anybody else in a minute if you want to ask questions you can put it in the chat for Amy. But um for yourself, um when things were hard in your journey, did did you paint and create, if you like, privately, or do you think it's good to show people what you've made? Um I realized we should have got pictures, but actually, we'll get everybody to follow you on Instagram if they don't
Yeah.
already, and they can look through the things that you make. But is it a sort of personal, private thing for you that you create, or is it something that you're always wanting to sort of put out there?
Well, I think when I was going through the thing with my son, I felt there was a whole community, like the moms would be very worried that Is this something that my child will have? So there are moments around my own community that I saw that it was quite traumatic for them as well to know that my child had cancer. So I decided to create not only for me and my family, first and foremost, these little books illustrating our journey and share them on Instagram. At the time, we were only allowed to put 10 photos. So all my books have exactly 9 pages. So we did an illustration of him losing his hair, a book called Otto the Weirdo, because he was going to lose his hair, but we're all weird, so that's fine. Um, sorry, I get a bit emotional.
No,
Sorry.
of course. I'm very touched that you're
No,
speaking about it, Amy. Yeah.
it's
No,
been a
it's
long
been
time I don't talk about it, so talking about it is
yeah. Well, we're very grateful. We're very
he
grateful.
is discharged, by the way. He's the most wonderful, annoying 10-year-old. So he's well,
Yeah.
more than
No,
well.
praise God. He's
Um,
doing really well.
really, really well. So sharing this art with the community and with my family was really completely healing and I don't know what other word to use than, you know, uh, exciting in a way because my kids knew what we were going through. It helped them normalize this challenging moment in our lives, but also it helped with the his friends, for example, at school, not see him as a weirdo or normalize it at school and with our neighborhood as well. And it was actually really exciting because some of my friends in America shared it with Hospital in LA, and they printed out some of the books as well. So, it was interesting to see how this art spread and uh, social media can be used in such a lovely way, with lots of support and love and prayers coming from everywhere. So I feel like that moment in my life, it was important for me to share the art. Sometimes I do it nowadays I'm doing it more just for my mental health and well-being, but I really love sharing it online still. Um, and yeah, it's very dependent.
Thank you. Which maybe makes me ask another question. Just if you did, we asked this of Francis last week as well, but if you had unlimited resources and unlimited time, what would be a kind of dream scenario? Maybe you were already doing it. You're teaching art in school, and that's all that you really
Yeah.
want to do. But if you sort of had you won the lottery tomorrow or something.
That's a good question. I would like a bigger studio, definitely. Like somewhere that's not in my house because my house gets very messy because I have my studio here. Um, I've always had a dream that I wanted to create my own art school as well. So I think I would definitely spend some of the money creating really exciting art schools where kids can hang out after school and be safe and mess, have messy play, and I don't know, welcoming everybody.
Brilliant. Um, uh, Maggie's got a great question, which I actually want to just maybe pause on it for maybe we can open it up to get everybody else's point of view as well. But how would you encourage churches to use art to help members express what's going on for them? In some ways, that's probably a question for me as a church leader to think about. But what can we how can we pray for you, Amy? You've already said a few things. I don't know if you want to say as well how faith um, factors into your creativity. I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
speak
of
about that
course.
at all.
I think a lot of my art comes from um, is inspired by God and the higher power and making and nature. I'm really inspired by nature. There's always a element of um, let me see if I can explain. When I meditate or when I pray, I always
Mm,
have lots of visions. So
mm,
sometimes this is like what I paint is these visions that come to mind, and they might not mean anything, but for me it's it's almost like something sent from a God, uh,
mhm.
with crazy symbolisms, and I don't know, like this is the sort of stuff I am into at the moment. Um, and as you said, God is in everything that's creative. So there is, for me, I don't know how to be creative and not have God involved in the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it does.
it's so intertwined. So that is definitely part of my practice. And yeah, that's it.
That sounds good. Um, but yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. And if there are other things we can be praying for you,
Oh, yeah.
you talked about. I mean, obviously, there's the current teaching that you're doing. But what you had said, you had mentioned something already as well. But anyway, tell us if there are things we can be praying about.
Yeah, I think mostly would be to pray for my students and this generation in general. They are worried about so many things that, 15-year-old kids are worried about. When I was 15, there was nothing, I didn't know anything because I didn't have the world in my hands. All 15-year-olds now have the world in their hands with the phone. So they know a lot. They have all these bits of information that just worries them constantly. And I've seen so much a spike of mental health in schools, and I guess just wanted to pray for my students and that they can find peace.
All right. Yeah, that's great. Well, let's do that then. We'll do a couple of prayers, and then we sort of finish. We have the Lord's Prayer, and then we sort of say that if people want to get on with the rest of their evening, they can. But then last week we sort of had a bit more of a general chat, and some of these things might come up in other questions. Does that sound all right with everybody? And